6, page number 190. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يبشرهم ربهم برحمة منه ورضوان وجنات لهم فيها نعيم مقيم خالدين فيها أبدا إن الله عنده أجر عظيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تتخذوا آباءكم وإخوانكم أولياء إن استحبوا الكفر على الإيمان ومن يتولهم منكم فأولئك هم الظالمون. قل إن كان آباؤكم وأبناؤكم وإخوانكم وأزواجكم وعشيرتكم وأموال اقترفتموها وتجارة تخشون كسادها ومساكن ترضونها أحب إليكم من الله ورسوله وجهاد في سبيله فتربصوا حتى يأتي الله بأمره والله لا يهدي القوم الفاسقين. لقد نصركم الله في مواطن كثيرة ويوم حنين إذ أعجبتكم كثرتكم فلم تغن عنكم شيئا وضاقت عليكم الأرض بما رحبت ثم وليتم مدبرين. ثم أنزل الله سكينته على رسوله وعلى المؤمنين وأنزل جنودا لم تروها وعذب الذين كفروا وذلك جزاء الكافرين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. So just to remind you of the context in which we're talking, the Muslims had been asked to do something very difficult. This was right after the conquest of Mecca, and the Prophet of Allah had made an announcement that from the coming year the mushrikeen will no longer be allowed to come for Hajj. Not only that, but there are certain practices which they can no longer practice starting from the time of the announcement. And not only that, but now mushrikeen will also not be after 4 months allowed to enter Mecca. And that was very, very difficult for some people. Because sometimes it may have happened that members of their family were still amongst the mushrikeen, and now they cannot allow members of their own family to come for the Hajj, to come near the Kaaba, to come into Mecca, something that perhaps they used to do as a family. And not only that, but now they have to establish Islam throughout Arabia, and that meant that they had to establish it within Arabia. So that was also very, very difficult for them. So it is in this context that these verses are now being revealed. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He asked them to do something difficult, He also gave them the promise or the glad tidings of paradise. Now we looked at some of these verses before. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sort of wrapping up that discussion in the beginning of today's recitation. And Allah says, يُبَشِّرُهُمْ رَبُّهُمْ بِرَحْمَةٍ مِّنْ. God gives them bashara, tabshir. Tabshir is good news, glad tidings. And very often in the Qur'an, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, and we give you glad tidings of this and glad tidings of that. Now, if you think about it, when do you give good news? Normally, somebody comes and gives you good news when it is imminent, but it's not happening right now. And it's not happening somewhere far in the future either, right? Because if it was happening right now, I wouldn't tell you, I have some good news to give you, I'd give it to you, right? I wouldn't tell you that, you know what, you're going to get $50,000. I just come in, give it to you, right? And if it's something that's happening really far away, it's going to happen after, let's say, 10 years, I wouldn't say, I've got good news that 10 years later. Say, I promise you that 10 years later, something is going to happen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the believers, we're giving you good news. Meaning, yes, you have to struggle right now, but it is soon. It's not far away. Now you have to be also careful over here. Sometimes that soon that Allah talks about is sometimes 5 to 10 years away. But He's saying in the grand scheme of things, when everything is said and done, right? As I've said this example before, you know, you tell your children, inshallah, soon it will be the day of Eid. And it's the second day of Ramadan. And then on the day of Eid, you're like, didn't I tell you? And they're like, yes, that passed by really fast. Okay? Soon Allah will give you the good news. بِرَحْمَةٍ مِّنْهُ وَرِضْوَانٍ. He will give you rahmah, which is mercy, and ridwan, which is pleasure. Now, the commentators of the Qur'an have interpreted it in a number of ways. Rahmah meaning the blessings of this world, ridwan meaning the blessings of the hereafter. No, rahmah meaning the blessings of Jannah, ridwan meaning the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, human beings, one of the things that God has built into us is the need for acceptance. Every human being wants some form of acceptance, right? You look at children, when they're growing up, whose acceptance are they looking for? The parents, right? And they'll try to do anything and everything to have the parents appreciate them. They'll come up to their parents and, Baba, I did this, I did that, I did this at school. And then all the parents will tell you, those who've been parents, the moment they hit high school, what happens? Instead of wanting the acceptance of the parents, now they want the acceptance of their peers and their friends. And it causes a little bit of constraint for parents, you know, and the peers and their friends, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, yes, but you're supposed to drive to something higher. Not only acceptance of your parents, not even that much acceptance of your peers, but acceptance of and from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah says, when you do good, then Allah gives you ridwan, the acceptance, knowing that Allah has accepted you. وَجَنَّاتِ لَهُمْ فِيهَا نَعِيمٌ مُقِيمٌ. And God will give you Jannah in which the blessings will be established and they will be forever. خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا أَبَدًا. You shall enter in it abadan. Now, originally in the Arabic language, abadan means for a very long period of time. But we know by looking at the verses of the Qur'an, abadan means forever. Right? And let me ask you a question. Have you ever been to a gas station where you tell them, look, they tell you actually, you pay us $100 today, and then for the rest of your life, free gas. Have you ever had that? Or you go to Walmart and say, you know what, I'm going to pay you $100 right now. From tomorrow onwards, free milk every day until the end of my life. Does anybody offer you such a plan? Nobody offers you such a plan. Well, God does. Right? Says, a little bit of hard work in this world, and I'll give you free forever. Right? Could there be a better transaction than that? خالدين فيها أبدا إن الله عنده أجر عظيم. Now, how is that possible that God gives us so much for so little? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, surely with Allah is a great reward waiting for you. Now, one of the problems that they had is how to say no to members of the family, right? And sometimes we also face the same problem as well. Sometimes we don't want to do something, but there's pressure from our friends, pressure from family, pressure from children. Do it in a particular way, right? Or for example, especially during weddings, sometimes you don't want to do something that's haram. But what if I don't take part in that? How will that person feel? So there is pressure to try and please that person. So the early Muslims also felt that pressure as well, trying to please members of their family at the cost of diminishing the values of Islam, compromising the values of Islam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, O those who believe. This is a test of your faith now, of your iman. لا تتخذوا آباءكم وإخوانكم أولياء. Do not take your fathers, and your brothers as your awliya. I'm going to translate what awliya means. Just hold on to that. Don't take your fathers and your brothers as awliya in istahabbul kufra ala al-iman, if they choose to love disbelief over faith and belief. Okay. So what does awliya mean over here? Because sometimes the word awliya is translated as friends. Is this verse saying that even your parents, don't take them as friends if they are not believers? Your brothers, don't take them as friends if they are not believers? That's not the case. Because we know the Qur'an says that in terms of your parents, you have to do ihsan to them. You have to do goodness to them, whether you think they're good people or not. Whether they are believers or they are not believers, you have a responsibility to do ihsan to them. So what does awliya mean over here? It means two things. Number one, don't put yourself in a compromising position towards them, where you are depending upon them whilst they are not believers. Why? Because sometimes it may be they would use that dependency to get you to compromise on your faith and to compromise on your values. For example, somebody is financially dependent, right, upon somebody else, and that person is not a believer. Islam says don't put yourself in that sort of a compromising position. It's possible the other person may exploit that dependency that you have towards them. Second thing, it also means a wali is somebody whom you listen to, right? Somebody who tells you what to do, what not to do. Don't put yourself in that position that they ask you to do something and God asks you to do something else and you choose them over Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the next verse explains it in more detail. Allah says, قُلْ إِن كَانَ, O Prophet, tell them, if آبَاؤُكُمْ, your fathers, وَأَبْنَاؤُكُمْ, and your sons, وَإِخْوَانُكُمْ, and your brothers, وَأَزْوَاجُكُمْ, and your wives and spouses, وَعَشِيرَتُكُمْ, and your family, وَأَمْوَالٌ اقْتَرَفْتُمُوهَا, and the wealth that you have acquired and gathered, وَتِجَارَةٌ تَخْشَوْنَ كَسَادَهَا, and the tijara, the trade that you fear to lose, وَمَسَاكِنُ تَرْضَوْنَهَا, and your houses that you love. When was this verse revealed? There's a difference of opinion. Some say it was revealed before the Muslims went for hijrah. And some people did not want to leave Mecca to go to Medina. Why? My family is here. My business is here. My house is here. My wealth and my property is here. Why would I want to leave it to go there to Medina to establish a Muslim community? Allah says, if this is more beloved to you than the Prophet of Allah and Allah, then there's a problem. Some say it was revealed just before the conquest of Mecca. There were some people, when they knew that the Muslims wanted to come and conquer Mecca, the Muslims themselves let the non-Muslims know that people are coming, please take care of our property over there. Okay. What do you think would be the problem with this interpretation? If somebody said it was revealed during the Hijrah or revealed before the conquest of Mecca? Would there be a problem? Could it be revealed at that time? So the Surah At-Tawbah, when was it revealed? After what? Yeah, after the conquest of Mecca, right? And the whole context that we talked about today was what? After the conquest of Mecca, right? So very highly unlikely that after the conquest of Mecca, it's talking about what came before the conquest of Mecca. Though it is possible, because sometimes verses were inserted in other places. Their context came before, but their place comes afterwards. That's fine. But it seems unlikely. It seems it's talking about the difficult responsibility that was given to the Muslims to spread Islam throughout Arabia, and some of them were finding that difficult to do, to make sure that Mecca is only meant now for a place of worship for the Muslims. Some of them were finding it difficult to do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if the reason why you're finding it difficult to establish the values of Islam is because of your family relations, because of your business transactions or business investments, because of your houses, أَحَبَّ إِلَيْكُمْ, they're more beloved to you, مِنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ, from God and His prophets, وَجِهَادٍ فِي سَبِيلِهِ, and struggling in the way of Allah, فَتَرَبَّسُوا. In plain and simple words, then you just wait. Right? It is a little bit of a threat. Right? You just wait and see what happens in the future. حَتَّى يَأْتِيَ اللَّهُ بِأَمْرِهِ. Until God fulfills His command and fulfills His decree. What will happen? You'll come to realize, number one, you were on the wrong side of history. Future generations will come to realize you were on the wrong side of history. And when you go into the hereafter, you'll also come to realize what a great opportunity you let go of, right? وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الْفَاسِقِينَ. God does not guide those who are corrupt. Now, one of the problems that we have in life is that whenever we're going through hardship, our faith in Allah becomes strong, correct? Because we come to realize that I've tried everything and nothing has worked. The only thing that's left now is for me to turn to a higher power. There you'll find that even an atheist becomes a theist, a believer, right? Once the sixth Imam asked somebody, have you ever been? He claimed to be an atheist. The Imam asked him, have you ever been on a ship where you realized the ship was going to drown? The man said, yes. The Imam said, what did you do at that time? He said, I turned to a higher power. So that is God. In your heart, you believe that there was a higher power. The problem is that when everything is going okay, and I have got everything under control, and I've got the wealth that I need, and the networks that I need, and the connections that I have, there our faith does become weaker. You know, some of the scholars, they say, God tests you in moments of difficulty, tests your patience in moments of difficulty, and even more difficult than that is when God tests your patience in moments of ease. Because in difficulty, you turn to God naturally. In moments of ease, even the Qur'an says, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى. Surely man becomes rebellious when أَرَّآهُ اسْتَغْنَى, when he sees himself as independent. Right? I've got everything I need. Why do I need to pray so hard? So an example of that happened. Now, in the next two verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to encourage the believers to engage in the struggle of spreading the values of Islam. Okay? But they were also thinking that, some of these struggles we have to go through are very, very difficult. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them an example. So let's read that example. لَقَدْ نَصَرَكُمُ اللَّهُ فِي مَوَاطِنَ كَثِيرًا. God has helped you in many places. Mawatin means places, places where you go and establish yourselves in many places. Some of the commentators of the Qur'an, they say, until this point, until this example that God is going to give, there were 80 different places where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had helped the believers. وَيَوْمَ حُنَيْنٍ. But one particular place we want to remind you, the day of Hunayn. In the 8th year after Hijrah, there was a battle known as the Battle of Hunayn. Hunayn was between Mecca and Ta'if. And there the Muslims had to fight a battle against the tribes of Hawazin and Thaqif. Now, normally, whenever Muslims had to fight, up until that day, they were usually 1/3 of the opposing army. Right? Battle of Badr, 313 versus 1,000. Battle of Ahzab, 3,000 versus 10,000. In the Battle of Hunayn, the equation was flipped. Muslims were 12,000 in number, their enemies were 4,000. So when they walked into the Battle of Hunayn, they walked with a little bit of arrogance. And they said, wow, we're 12,000. We've got swords and horses and we've got good weapons, and they're just 4,000. So for example, in the Battle of Badr, Muslims were praying hard because they knew if we didn't pray hard, tomorrow we're going to die. In the Battle of Hunayn, everybody's taking it easy. This is a piece of cake. We're going to win this one. In other words, we don't need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can take care of this one ourselves. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, in the day of Hunayn, إِذْ أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ كَثْرَتُكُمْ. You were so happy and pleased and surprised by your numbers. فَلَمْ تُغْنِ عَنْكُمْ شَيْئًا. And your numbers did not help you even the least bit. Because what happened in the Battle of Hunayn, when they engaged in battle, suddenly they got ambushed. And when they got ambushed, guess what everybody did? Exactly like the Battle of Uhud, they all ran. And Muslims were about to lose at that time, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, didn't help you a bit. وَضَاقَتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْأَرْضُ بِمَا رَحُبَتْ. And the earth, despite how wide it was, suddenly, in the flip of a switch, and less than a few moments, it became very constrained for you. Meaning you're about to lose at that time. ثُمَّ وَلَّيْتُمْ مُدْبِرِينَ. And then you turned and you were running away. But then ثُمَّ أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ سَكِينَتَهُ عَلَى رَسُولِهِ وَعَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then revealed His sakina. What is sakina? It comes from sukoon, meaning tranquility, being at rest, not being afraid, not being anxious, not grieving. You know, when the heart is at rest, it's not worried, that's called sukoon. Allah revealed that sakina on the Prophet and on the believers. This is so beautiful. Allah doesn't say, so we sent the winds, or we caused an earthquake, or we caused a miracle to happen. No, even if you are few in numbers, you have the strength to overcome your adversaries. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all He had to do was to deliver that confidence within you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَأَنزَلَ جُنُودًا لَمْ تَرَوْهَا, and He caused the angels to descend. And remember what we mentioned about the angels. Angels don't come to fight our battles for us. All they come and do is strengthen the hearts of the believers and weaken the hearts of their adversaries. وَعَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, and punish those who rejected faith. وَذَلِكَ جَزَاءُ الْكَافِرِينَ, and that is the recompense, or that is the end of those who disbelieve. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.